Hello and welcome back to SAHD, where today I'm going to be playing a game that a lot of people really like. And it's part of a franchise that almost everyone considers to be one of the most important video game franchises of all time. So, how the hell do you make an intro to that? I mean, it's got to be freaking cool, right? And it's got to be something that portrays just how amazeballs this entire franchise is. I don't know what to do for it. Yeah, I couldn't think of anything. Sorry about that. But today I wanted to check out Link's Awakening on the Game Boy, which is the very first Zelda game on a Game Boy. And it also happens to be the very first Zelda game that I myself owned, and I loved this game. I carried this cartridge around with me everywhere, and if you couldn't tell, I thought it definitely needed some color. So before we get the remake of this on the Switch, I wanted to check out the remake that came out on the Game Boy Color.
Everybody's got a colorful side. Here's ours. Lots of new color games for Game Boy Color, like Tetris DX, Wario Land 2, Zelda DX. New Game Boy Color. Now the games are as colorful as you.
Yeah, the early 2000s were freaking weird, but they were also freaking awesome. And I have my Game Boy Color here ready to roll. But I did not actually get a copy of Zelda DX when I was growing up, and for some reason I just haven't paid for it myself. My parents also believed that buying the same game twice because it had some color in it wasn't really worth the purchase, and now that I'm a parent myself, sorry about that. I didn't mean to give you so much grief. So I just downloaded it on the 3DS. And you know, that's when I asked myself, why the f*** did I buy it on my 3DS? Just a personal revelation about this system. I hate holding it. It's so uncomfortable, and it literally hurts my hands after holding it for like 10 minutes. And this analog stick is the worst. Plus, the D-pad is just way too low on the system to even use. So I just ended up playing it on my Raspberry Pi, where I can use a real controller because I don't have the hands of a 4-year-old. And holy crap, this intro looks amazing in color. This is one of the few games that doesn't revolve around Zelda. Good. So I don't have to save anybody, I just get to do whatever the hell I want. Nice. I do enjoy the fact that they just send you on your way. There is no long, drawn-out story or anything, and this dude just says, "Hey guy, here's your shield. Now get the hell out of my house." And I love adventure games like this, where it just lets you explore and figure out what you're supposed to do. But it restricts you to an area that's not so large that you get super lost right out of the gate. And, before you know it, Link finds his sword on the beach. Then this gigantic owl shows up out of nowhere and tells you about something called the windfish. Apparently, if you want to get off the island, you'll have to wake his sleepy ass up. What the hell is a windfish? And do fish even sleep? We're gonna have to go straight to the source for this one.
Come on, man. All I need to know is, what the hell's a windfish? Stop ignoring me. Okay, can you at least answer the question if fish sleep? And if you do sleep, how do I wake you up? Come on, man. I just need some info. None of you? Really?
Alright, we're just gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way. Beating the crap out of people! That's not fake gameplay at all. The first place that you need to visit is the Mysterious Forest. From here on, it's pretty standard Zelda gameplay though. You run around killing enemies, solving puzzles, picking up shrooms, turning shrooms into powder, and changing raccoons into Italians.
It's me, Mario!
Yeah, you know, the normal stuff. Then, after finally finding the first key, you make your way into the first dungeon. And again, pretty standard stuff. Fighting baddies, pushing blocks, and side-scrolling? Well, this is different, but it's nothing new. This also happened in the second NES game, Link's Adventure. But I don't ever remember seeing Goombas in that one. Shortly after this, you get an item called the Rock's Feather, making you able to jump! Nice. Then, you fight a pretty standard dungeon boss. Really, if you've played any Zelda game ever, you already know what to do. Then, after you beat it, you get an instrument. Apparently, though, I need to collect 7 more of them to wake the windfish.
Seriously? You couldn't have just told me I needed 8 instruments? You bunch of fish sticks?
True. The need for instruments to wake the windfish are prudent. But beware, young warrior. If you wake the windfish, your copy of the holy cartridge will vanish, making it impossible to replay. So saith the prophets.
What?
That was not normal. But, whatever. I'm going to finish this before I have too much time to think about it. Now, I'm running around the world trying to collect all of these instruments so I can wake up the windfish. And, believe it or not, but the rest of the game is very similar to every other Zelda at the time. You explore a little, find a key, you use said key to open another dungeon while collecting items to help you along the way. There are some things that are out of ordinary though. For example, remember that Goomba from earlier? Well, it's not the only thing here from Mario. You come across some fish that are very similar to the ones that are in Mario. There are some of these piranha plants, a chain chomp that you take on as a pet, flying mushrooms, a blobber, a couple of shy guys, bombs, along with some others, and then an evil Kirby as well. Kirby is a trademark of the Nintendo Company, and it is not affiliated with anything Mario Incorporated. This is trademark, Nintendo trademark company, Kirby trademark, blah, 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 blah. It's freaking nuts! Why are there so many different characters in this title? It's like a crazy Nintendo crossover version of Zelda. Not gonna lie though, it made it pretty fun to explore and try to find whatever was hidden in every level, and every time I did find something that didn't belong, I would definitely get a kick out of it. Of course, if you feel like going off the beaten path, there are a couple of side missions in this game too. One is a collectathon of seashells, and the other is a trade game. The seashells can be found in random areas, dug out of the ground, or even given to you for doing something for someone else. There are a total of 26 in the game, but luckily, you only need 20 of them to get the upgrade, which makes your sword more powerful. It also makes it so when you're full of health, you shoot out smaller swords whenever you swing. It's easy enough to beat the game without this upgrade, but it does help with beating the final boss. And the trading game starts with another familiar yet misplaced face, Yoshi. And the way you get him is with this claw game at a store in the first town. Past this point, you just need to make sure that as you make your way from dungeon to dungeon, you talk to everyone that you can to see what items they need. Because if you finish the trade game, you can find a cave on the beach Link washed up on with someone inside that will trade you something for a boomerang. And I suggest that you have 20 seashells before going in there, because the best item to trade away is the shovel. And if you already have 20 seashells, then there's no more use for the shovel anyway, and you might as well trade it off. After all of this, I finally got the 8 instruments and headed to the giant egg that represents the windfish. Then you're warned before you enter it that once you wake the windfish, everything on the island will disappear. Not like in a fog or something. The whole thing will be erased. All of the people, the monsters, the children, they all cease to exist once you wake the windfish. Oh, well, crap. That's a real dilemma. Do I wake the windfish so I can go about my day and save Zelda in some other title because really that's all she's good for? Or do I just settle down on the island and enjoy the fact that I've cleaned up all the baddies and I let this island of people go back about their lives and I just, I don't know, become a shopkeeper or something? Okay, well, I am very much positive that there's a form of Ganon in there somewhere, and you have to destroy Ganon. Crap. Sorry, Island of Kahonut. Once you play the 8 magical instruments and make your way down into the mountain, I have to fight dark shadows of the bosses. And as I guessed, there's a version of Ganon. But I gotta say, this fight was much harder than I was expecting it to be. You have to attack each form in a specific way. Trying to figure out which weapon you need to use on each form makes this fight way more intense than I was prepared for. But let me rewind for a second, because before you hit up the final boss, you really should go to the Remake's extra dungeon. The Color Dungeon! Woo! It can only be played on the Game Boy Color, or Game Boy Advance of course, but if you use the cart in a regular Game Boy, then, well, you know, you can't get there. Once inside, the color just throws itself everywhere and right in your freaking face. It's full of color-based puzzles, of course, and at the end you get to pick between a red tunic or a blue tunic. The red buffs your attack power, and the blue gives you better defense. The Color Dungeon is really the only difference, though, between the Game Boy Color version and the original. And I mean, the color, of course. But overall, Link's Awakening is a really, really fun game, especially for it being its first outing on a handheld system. And I mean, how could it not be this good? It's part of a franchise that is known for making ridiculously good games for a reason. So, Link's Awakening is just more of that. And really, that's a fantastic thing. I love the gameplay. I love how it handles. I liked the enemies. I really enjoyed the dungeons, even though they were a little predictable, and so were the bosses. But I liked the inclusions of little crazy things here and there, like an evil Kirby and Mario characters like the Chain Chomp that you use as a pet. That's all genius. I had a real blast with it. My only complaint about Link's Awakening is its length. It's way too short. And you might be thinking, a Zelda game that's short? That's kind of crazy. Really? Link's Awakening is probably the shortest that I've played, and it's a little easy. So I feel if you wanted to get into a Link title that isn't too hard but still classic Zelda, this is probably the perfect game for you, because it's semi-easy. You really don't have to take that much time to beat it. And really, none of those are terribly bad things. So I'm going to give Zelda Link's Awakening a 9 out of 10. Because, damn, this game was made very well. It's just kind of short. And I would like to point out to the fish that was spitting all that crazy crap, I still have my copy, see? Yeah, it's still right here. What the hell happened to my game? Where'd it go? Thank you again so much for watching another stay-at-home dad game review. And sorry this one took a little bit longer to actually release. A lot of weird stuff was going on over there in the real world. I don't really want to talk about it. It takes too long. So, thank you again for being here, and thanks again for all of the support. It means the world to me. And if you would like, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to help support the show even further, go ahead and head over to my Patreon page. I'd really appreciate any of it, or just comment. Do whatever the heck you want, really. I'm just happy you guys are here. So, thank you, and I will see you guys next time.